Okay. Hello, my friends, and Christopher Howson here, and today I'm going to be talking to a wise entrepreneur, Frankie Kington, and I've got the absolute pleasure of interviewing him today. And what we're going to talk about today is how we can come back to our true self, how the world can come back to a consciousness we once had before, and how we can change our lives for the better, and how we can change this world for the better. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And as you know, I'm all about helping people find and reconnect with their purpose and playing their music to the whole world. So that's what I'm about. And what I want to do now is I want to introduce this wise entrepreneur, this great man, Frankie Kington. And I would love for him to introduce himself and just tell everybody what he's about. So without further ado, Frankie, my friend, I'd love to offer you the microphone.
Hi, Christopher. It's really great to be on your channel. Thank you so much, Christopher Howson. It's always good to see you, my dear friend. Thanks for that lovely introduction to who I am. I feel really special, and I don't know why, because I've got to live up to Christopher's expectations now, which are very, very high. So thank you so much for that, because I'm really humbled and feel really appreciated, introducing me like that. So yes, my name's Frankie Kington. I live in the UK. I'm an entrepreneur. I specialise in, working with young people and youth. I'm passionate about helping them to become the next leaders for the 21st century. And how I do that, I am a mentor and a life coach, and I've been mentoring coaching now, especially mentoring now for over 20 years, and it's something what I really love. And as you say, I'm just coming to coaching as a life coach, and I'm really passionate about working with youth and young people. They are our future. They are the people of the 21st century. And I know it's really important that myself and Christopher, that what we do, we actually really look after the youth for the next 20, 30 years, because they are the future. They are the people who are going to change the world. And they actually have mentoring programs. I have my own YouTube channel. I'm all over social media, as you'll see me, and Facebook channels as well. And they have, Instagram and the usual social media platform. I advertise myself a lot on there as an entrepreneur, and I do public speaking as well, because I honestly believe these three industries of expertise in mentoring, coaching, and public speaking are really what are going to change the world in the 21st century. And if we can develop these and have these qualities in our lives to help transform the next generation of youth and young people, we're going to live in a very, very successful world. So that's what I actually do. I'm very happy with what I'm doing, very proud of what I do. And I have my own books as well. I have my own book. And I'm looking at doing another book as well, which is coming out very, very soon. So I'm really excited about that. So yeah, I'm an author as well as an entrepreneur and thought leader. And I look forward to speaking to you today, ladies and gentlemen, on this platform. So thanks for having me, Christopher. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you so much, Frank. And it's so great what you do. It's truly changing the world, as you're saying. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to interview you, and to everybody out there. Frankie, he truly is a wise entrepreneur. So if I were you, I would check him out. And, he's got great stuff to offer the world. So without further ado, let's get into how can we change the world, Frankie? So I'm going to ask you some questions, and you just tell me from the heart. Just speak from the heart to me. So, Frankie, I believe this world, we need to come back to our true self. We need to come back to our sacred self. We've been led to believe we're our false self, that we're our achievements, we're our possessions, we are what we do. However, that's really not who we are. So if I were to ask you, how do we come back to our sacred self? And this world needs it more than ever. How would you say we could come back to our sacred self?
That's a very, very good question, Christopher. I like the word you said, sacred there.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to be too judgmental with the word, but with the world, sorry. But the word sacred is really important. I believe that sacred is something that's really pure and really real. And a lot of sacred virtues in the world are really lost. I honestly believe that, Christopher. And
Mm.
for me, the most sacred thing what a human being can do now in this world is prayer. Prayer is the most sacred thing that you can do, and anybody can do this. I believe, Chrissy, yeah, that people who have got religions or got faith or got beliefs,
Mm-hmm.
can really pray. They can pray for anybody because they know that prayer really works. And even people who don't have to be religious, you don't have to go to church, you don't have to be in any form of religion or philosophy of life. I mean, I used to be in a religion called Christianity. Now I'm in a philosophy called Buddhism because I feel it's just more deeper and more understanding for my life. But I pray every single day, Christopher. I could pray up to 2 to 3 hours a day. When I'm really on it, and I do that every day consistently because I know the power of prayer and how sacred the power of prayer really is and how much we need to use it. And I do believe, Christopher, that the world is becoming more sacred towards the power of prayer. It's something that we should use. It's always there with us, but it's very powerful. And if we use it sincerely, the prayer, and our prayer for what we really want, not for what we feel that we want or what's in our life, a prayer for what we really want. Yeah. So a sacred prayer is a prayer what's going to permeate the world, a prayer which is going to have an effect in the world. Sometimes we can pray for materialistic things like I pray for a new car, or I pray for a new house, or I pray for a better girlfriend, which is fantastic. That's great. But that real sincere prayer, because what goes out to the universe, that prayer which says, I pray for world peace, or I pray that the world becomes a happier and a more joyful place with abundance and happiness. Because that prayer permeates the world, Christopher. That is a prayer which is bigger than our lives. It's as vast and it's as big as the universe. And that's what prayer is. Prayer can permeate anything around the world and in our lives. So let's use prayer powerfully. Let's use prayer to really transform society and transform the world. And when we have a prayer what does that, you find that our prayers are answered. Our prayers will be answered in a very, very powerful way, a way that you could never imagine. But it's like anything, we've got to put it into practice. We know that practice makes perfect. So the more we practice about prayer and praying for world peace and praying for other people's lives, the effect on us is absolutely immense, Christopher. And I've proved that over 20 years now. So prayer is a real sacred thing, Christopher. And people need to come back to it. Because people say they pray all the time. I pray for this, I pray for that, I pray for having a great job, I pray that my football team wins, I pray that I can win the pills. People use that prayer, but we need to use it properly, words, put it into practice on a daily basis.
Thank you so much, Frank. That's a beautiful answer. And, I just want to illustrate to the audiences, certain keywords I picked up, and I think Frankie couldn't have said it any better. Like, prayer is sacred. And, our words are so powerful. And prayer is an energy thing. And it's like, we've got to learn to master that energy. Because I once heard someone tell me that, God is source energy. Prayer is connecting with that energy. And, you're right, Frankie. We pray for sincerity. We pray from a genuine heart. We connect with that energy. We can permeate the world. We can change the world. We just need to come together and use our words for good. We need to come together, connect with that energy. So, to the audience, let's come together, as Frankie says. Let's pray for sincere things. And that can change the world, like Frankie said. So thank you so much, Frankie. That's a beautiful answer. Now, my next question is, someone once told me, Frankie, humility is a beautiful thing. Humility is sexy. And I heard once that ego isn't sexy. Now, if I were to ask you, how can we learn to be more humble in this world and drop the ego? How can we learn to find humility within ourselves instead of looking to find satisfaction in material things? How we can come back to ourselves? If I were to ask you, Frankie, how can we do that? What advice could you give?
Well, that's a great question, Christopher. I like the way you said the word sexy. And I think humility, it might be that right. I might have to become a better lover. Have the humility to say, well, I can be a better lover. Do more in the bedroom, or I can be a better person like that. I love the way you put that, sexy. Really, really interesting, because sexy is exciting, isn't it? Sexy, we all want to be sexy. I know people I love football. I know in this country and in Europe, we've got certain players who say I love to play sexy football. Because sexy is exciting, isn't it? It's exhilarating. It's worldwide. It's universal. Everybody loves sex and everybody wants to be sexy. So very interesting the way you put that in, Christopher. I believe, that we have to have, because it's like a battery, isn't it, Christopher? A battery, negative and a positive side. I've seen positive sides, a battery wouldn't work. So you have humility, and I feel you have humbleness. The two same things. So honestly, with humility, it's a case of not feeling that you are of self-importance. It's knowing that you are on a level just like everybody else. So in other words, what I mean by that, Christopher, is that I can make mistakes. It doesn't matter how good I am, how qualified I am, how famous or professor I am, how much I appeal to the world, I'm still have that humanity to make mistakes. So because of that, I have to have humility in my life. It's a sense of getting rid of the ego, isn't it, Christopher? You have humility, it shrinks the ego. So humility is really important. The humility and the honesty to say, you know what? I make mistakes, I've got to learn from them. If I make mistakes, I've got to learn from them. I'm going to become a better person. It's always about, Christopher, as you know, as mentors and coaches and as leaders, it's always about the person in front of us. We always have humility to the person in front of us. We all have humility to the people that we serve, that the organizations that we work with. Humility shows a sign of true confidence. It shows a sign of, I can make mistakes, but I can get better. I can learn from mistakes and have the humility to look at it and think, right, I am human after all. I have the emotional intelligence to look at it and say, right, I'm going to get better. I'm not going to get emotionally upset about it, because emotions, or anything we do in emotions, isn't real, isn't real. So humility is about really saying, no, the people in front of me, they're the most important person. They're the ones who I've got to bring up. They're the ones who I've got to nurture. They're the ones who I've got to help see something in their life that they don't actually see. That's my qualities as a mentor and a coach, and my skills. That's what we do. So humility is really, really important, Christopher. Thanks for bringing that to our attention. Just like humbleness, they both come together. So you have to develop that humility. And you know what? If we develop it, we can become outstanding human beings, outstanding leaders, outstanding entrepreneurs, because we've been to ourselves. And it's always about trying to do that little bit more each day, and being that little bit better, each day. That is really important. So don't forget that, ladies and gentlemen. Humility is a sign of confidence and a sign of somebody really being true to who they are. So let's live up to that. So thanks for sharing that with us, Christopher. I really hope that helped you, Christopher. Is that clear enough for you?
Yeah, no, that was great, Frankie. Like, I really enjoyed hearing your answer. And, I think the audience will get a lot out of that, because when I was listening to your answer, like humility, there was a word you mentioned, and I think humility is best summed up by this word, is when you were talking about service. And it got me thinking, like, when we're humble, it's because we're learning to come from service. We're putting others before ourselves. And, to drop the ego is all about, no, it's all about me. It's all about me. No, how can I make myself better? And, if we can learn to come from that service, if we can learn to come from, how may I serve you, instead of what's in it for me. Wayne Dwyer, he said it best, Frank. He said, it should be about how may I serve you, never what's in it for me. And, your answer talked about service. And, I just want to say to the audience, this world will tell you, oh, don't serve. Oh, you should make it about yourself. Or don't be service to people. You'll be taken advantage of. And, Frankie, I'll be honest with you, I did service, and, I've been ripped off a lot. However, Mother Teresa said it best. And this is the way I want to finish this question off, is Mother Teresa said, be honest anyway. Even if you're honest, people will cheat you. Be honest anyway. Even if people rip you off, never stop serving. Never stop showing your heart, even if people do bad to you. And I think that's how we can change this world, is when we can learn to start serving. And, I wish this of every single person listening to this. Put others before yourself and seek to serve others from a genuine heart, and ask, how may I serve you? And when you truly come from service, Frankie, it's so fulfilling, and it's so honorable. And that's truly living life with honor. So thank you so much for your answer, Frankie. And
great answers, great questions, and hopefully the great answers, but great questions, Christopher. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Really important.
I think the audience would have gotten a lot out of that answer. And may I put it out there, the audience starts serving themselves, starts helping people. And that leads me to my next question. Life is energy. We're all interconnected. People, this world will love to say, oh no, I'm this, yeah, that. We love to put divisions on everything. We love to put labels on everything. Where you live or what job you do. We love to say we're not interconnected. They say, Frankie, technology has connected us. However, we've never been more disconnected than ever. And if I had to be honest with you, Frankie, I see the disconnection. I don't see the connection. And I know one thing, we are interconnected as energetic beings. And whatever we do to each other, we're only hurting ourselves. And I feel we need to come back to that interconnection. We need to become whole again. And I think this world needs to hear this. So my question to you, Frankie, is how can we stop the labels of society? How can we stop the divisions of society where people try to divide you? And how can we become interconnected again? How can we become whole like we were in the past, where we were all on the same page? We were all about being kind to one another. How can we bring that kindness back, Frankie, to this world?
Another great question, Christopher, and I really want to answer that, as you know, from my heart. That's the only way I answer questions. And remember that, audience, we always answer questions from the heart because we know that the mind, in sometimes, play tricks with us. There's nothing more unreliable than our own mind, ladies. Is that right, Christopher? The
Yes.
heart knows everything. And I'm
Yes.
going to really answer this from the heart. It was a great answer, Christopher. And I feel, just like now, Christopher, it's amazing that we're talking online on YouTube because that's what we do. This is part of what we do as entrepreneurs and speakers. It's a way the world is going in the 21st century. But please, ladies and gentlemen, me as an entrepreneur and a leader in a Buddhist movement and organization, which is having an impact on world peace around the world because it teaches a philosophy that we have wisdom, courage, and compassion in our lives as vast as the universe. And we use this wisdom, courage, and compassion to transform society. And you know how we do that, Christopher? We do that through heart to heart dialogue.
Yeah.
So even though we're having heart to heart dialogue now, Christopher, remember, we're still online. At the moment, as you know, as I know you from, Christopher, the Global Speakers team, me and she, the lovely lady, we're working on designing a platform for speakers like ourselves to speak on a live stage. That's the key, Christopher. And over these past 3 to 4 years, we've been connected to online social media, online Zooms and online work and online activities and technology, which is great. But in the real world, Christopher, we still need heart-to-heart dialogue. As a life coach, I do a lot of coaching online. But as a life coach, I do a lot of coaching with people in a center or a studio. It's really important, Christopher, that we don't lose that heart-to-heart dialogue and connection with people live, face to face, because that's what the world needs. So, if we're just coming onto online social media, on online platforms, we lose the heart-to-heart dialogue to speak to each other because that's what we need to do, Christopher. So you see TEDx, where TEDx speaks to a live audience. Hopefully, global speakers talk what we're doing here and that organization, what we actually in, Christopher, we can do live global speaking and speaking to people on an audience. That's what we need to do. We need live connections and heart-to-heart connections. That's the way the world was before the pandemic came in. Even though we had problems, it's really important. And this is on a spiritual level as well, Christopher. I honestly believe when you're trying to create values in the world, we have this demon and we have this Buddha.
Yeah.
You have Buddhahood, I have Buddhahood, the world has Buddha. And what happened, because we have this amazing Buddhahood, which wants love and peace and respect and compassion, we've got this demon. So the good demon sits on, the good Buddha sits here, the demon sits there, and the demon says, no, you are not going to do what I want you to do. I want a world of destruction, hell, suffering, and pain. But the Buddha says, no, I have that great potential to create a world of peace. So what I'm trying to say, Christopher, it's always a battle between positive and negative forces. The Buddha knows what he wants because he's an amazing human being. But you know what they say, the devil will find work for idle hands. And unfortunately, Christopher, and I'm not judging people, there's a lot of idle hands in the world.
Yeah.
And these idle hands are causing a lot of suffering and destruction because they're deeply not happy or something's missing out of their own lives.
Yeah, that's true.
Does that make sense, Christopher? So what happens? The demons are, I find work for idle hands. If you're not busy enough, I'm going to find you work. And unfortunately, it's always a minority, isn't it, Christopher?
Yeah.
Cause so much destruction. Always a minority. It only takes one person to create something of really bad values in the world. We've got to see, Christopher, what are values? What do we live by? Do we want to live in a world where people are happy, having abundance and happiness? Or
mm,
is people have just lost hope? They don't know how to have hope. They don't know how
mm,
to live with hope. Is that why we're here, Christopher, as mentors and coaches and as speakers and entrepreneurs and thought leaders? Is that's why we've emerged to make this world a better place,
mm,
to say to people, look, your lives are absolutely amazing. The potential you have, not just for
mm,
your own happiness, but to bring happiness to other people, is
mm,
incredible. Is amazing. Is wonderful.
mm.
I just think sometimes, kids, people don't know how to go about their lives. People
Yeah.
don't know how to live their lives because sometimes people, Christopher, haven't had that love, that care, that
Mm.
compassion, that embracing of another person's life.
That's
We're
true.
taught so many wrong values in life, Christopher.
Mm.
It's ingrained in people's mind now. It's stuck in their head, and it's taken
Yeah.
them years to transform that negative
Mm.
um, information, which is just completely weighing us down, especially men.
Mm.
You know, we're
That's
really,
true.
really suffering. There's a lot of pain in the world, kids, but people have to understand what values are. People have to
Mm.
understand what are they in the world for. Are they here to become totally, totally happy and at peace, or are they here
Mm-hmm.
to become totally, totally miserable? And because I'm miserable, I'm going to make everybody else miserable.
Mm.
These are the answers, Christopher, and what people have to really be true to their heart, be true to
Yeah.
themselves. What is it that's going to make me happy? Can I
Mm.
be happy in this world? And have I lost everything in this world for me to become truly and totally happy? This
Mm.
is what the answers are, Christopher. We've got to sometimes as well, Christopher, for us to change, because it's all
Mm.
about changing, we have to have full responsibility for our own lives.
Yes.
Full responsibility. The world or the materialistic world, what we're living in, believe in that. Oh,
Mm.
no, 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 no. I can't take
Mm.
full responsibility. It's easy to blame other people. It's
Mm.
easy to blame the world and blame society for my problems. No,
Exactly.
no. You've got to be compassionate and you've got
Mm.
to be true to yourself and have the courage to say, you know what? I might need to change. I
Mm.
might be the problem in the world. When I change, the world may change into a better world.
Mm.
Yeah. So people
Yeah.
have got to really dig deep. And
Mm.
sometimes that's painful. That's
Yeah.
suffering. That's difficult. It's challenging. It's
That's
awkward.
true.
We could be so comfortable. We're so comfortable being in our own darkness, being in our own crap.
Mm.
You know, we don't know any different. And when we ask to change it, it's like, oh no, no, I'm okay. Oh no, I can just do somebody else because it's easier for
Mm.
me. I'm not
Mm.
suffering then because I'm easy. I don't have to change. I can
Mm.
just fight or just drink or just abuse somebody
Mm.
else or just hide behind my suffering with,
Yeah.
negative things in life like what I did. But I realize, you know what? I have to dig deep. It's me who's got to change.
Mm.
When I change, everyone changes around me and the world changes. And I have an effect on that world.
Mm.
You're right, Christopher. I think people have to be really true. They've got to go within themselves.
Yeah.
That's where true happiness is, Christopher.
That's
The
true.
abundance of happiness is within, not without.
Exactly.
Things out of yourself because it's not
Mm.
happiness. It's just bringing you suffering. And if you can't
Mm.
change something, you can't change it. So why are you trying to change something you
Mm.
possibly cannot change?
That's true.
You know? Does
Yeah.
that make sense, Christopher?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, Frank. Yeah. And to be honest, that's a great answer. There's so many nuggets in that answer. It's like, oh man, there's so many good points you highlighted, and just putting them to a couple of points for the audience so they can truly take in what you said. Like, I truly loved your answer. I thought that's really what the world needed to hear. And thank you so much for that answer. And now I'm thinking, okay, what's the golden nuggets I can pick from this to share with the audience? And I feel you touched on some important things, Frankie, that I feel the audience needs to hear, need to incorporate in their own life. And the minute we start doing these things you mentioned, I feel the world will change for the better. Now, you talked a lot about connection, for that heart-to-heart connection. Now, I couldn't be more firmer with that's what we need more than ever. We need that heart-to-heart connection with each other. We need to come from the heart so much now, because I see so many people coming from the head or looking for material things as the answer.